Our next forum features candidates from Washington Unified School District Trustee Area 4. Joining us tonight is Jackie Thu-Huong Wong, and Eleanor Sanchez has a prior obligation and is unable to be here this evening. Thank you for being here tonight, Jackie. Let's start by going over the rules again for tonight's forum. This is a forum, not a debate. We intend to ask thoughtful questions and get thoughtful responses. Please direct your answers to the audience, not to anyone else. Please also do not interrupt or make any sounds while this is not relevant, so we're going to skip past it. I will adjust the order. Nope, that one's not relevant either. I will indicate how much time is allowed per question. We have a timekeeper who will provide a 30-second warning of your remaining time and a 15-second warning. The 15-second warning means you need to complete your final sentence or thought. The timekeeper will hold up a stop sign when your time is up. If necessary, I will politely interrupt you if you exceed your time. To help the voters watching this forum, we ask that you draw a contrast between you and your other candidate, but please do not attack. We encourage you to be specific when answering questions, offer clear solutions, and avoid repeating what has already been said. When necessary, you may be asked to give a very brief clarification of your answer for the benefit of our audience and may be asked a follow-up question. We encourage our viewers to share questions in the online chat. We will add community questions as we are able. Now, beginning with your opening statement, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself to our online audience, provide some background about yourself, and explain why you are running for Washington Unified School District Area 4.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the West Sac Chamber for hosting this event for over 2 decades, and thank you for the Facebook Live audience for joining us today. My name is Jackie Thu-Huong, and I'm your WSD School Board member for District 4, and I'm proud to be the endorsed candidate for our West Sacramento teachers. As someone who has spent a lifetime and a career that spans over 30 years, I have been committed to students and young people. My journey is a deeply personal one. Many of you know that I'm a refugee, and that journey shaped who I am today. My parents instilled in me the value of education as the greatest pathway to opportunity. We had to navigate a new world with nothing in our pockets, learn a new language, and rebuild our path to success. Having this history and having counselors, teachers, and other adults in my educational career who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself, fuels my passion for education. Through the kind words of my elders and the opportunity to thrive, they instilled in me the value and belief that every child, no matter their background, deserves access to quality education, one that not only opens doors, but empowers them to break barriers. 8 years ago, I made the decision to run for school board because the community, parents, students, teachers, West Sacramentans asked me to represent their voice on school board. I knew that we could do it together, and we have done that. We've brought you to the dais, ensuring that every student, no matter their background, has the opportunity to succeed. Today, I stand before you to continue my mission. I'm running again because the work is not yet done. I'm here to ensure that our district remains a place where diversity is celebrated, where every child feels valued, and where educational excellence is our priority.
Thank you. We're going to start with our first question. You will be given 2 minutes to respond. What is your educational philosophy, and what new actions or policies would you initiate to promote diversity and inclusion within our schools should you be reelected?
Thank you for a very thoughtful question. As I mentioned, my journey here as a refugee is a deeply personal one, and it fuels kind of my philosophy on education. Because my parents taught me that education is the one thing that people couldn't take away from you, despite chaos and trauma. We were proud to come to the U.S. because here in the U.S., that education is a constitutional right for everyone. To that end, I believe that we need to create an environment that is safe, stable, and nurturing, where our children can learn, where our teachers can, ensure that they are they are supported and create the holistic environments that are necessary for children to thrive. I believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a core part of what we must do. We all come here from different backgrounds. We have different needs. I've been really proud of what we've been doing in our school district, ensuring that all the needs of our students are met, and our philosophy is by name and by need. We've developed a strategic plan that ensures that the voices of young people from various backgrounds were included in the strategic plan, so that we make those investments that are tailored to helping them succeed in school and career.
Thank you. The next question. The Washington Unified School District Strategic Plan includes readiness for college, career, and life as a goal. What specific initiatives or programs would you propose to support moving forward to better prepare Washington Unified School District students for their futures, whether that involves higher education, entering the workforce, or other post-graduation plans?
Well, I love this question because it was one of my platforms when I first ran. One of the things that I'm actually extremely proud of is our partnership with the WESAC Home Run program, where you have this concept of badging, right, so that they can learn skills in the workforce while also possibly learning, and as part of that journey, also giving them ability to have internships throughout their school career. In addition to that, we also have concurrent enrollment opportunities that actually allow them to actually gain college credits. I think that it's extremely important to continue our deep partnership with higher education, local community colleges, as well as local businesses to create our kids, to give their kids the opportunity to hone their skills in the workforce. So for me, it's something that we have been doing since I've joined the board and that we must continue to do. We know that we slowed down during the pandemic, but I feel like this year that we have been coming back strong, creating more internships than ever. Specifically, I'm really proud of a new badge that has been created through the Home Run program, where young people in high school can actually have internships in family child care homes, where they're getting also badges that will lead to possible micro-credentials in early learning, and also creates a pathway for them to become teachers.
Thank you. Given the rise in serious incidents on or around campuses, do you support the recent decision to fund the return of a school resource officer, and why or why not?
I deeply believe in a strong partnership with law enforcement. I was just talking to the chief just outside about how we need to do better by our schools and our community. We know that things don't just come to us, that it is actually a community effort. And so how can we strengthen those relationships with law enforcement? I've had the privilege and honor of being appointed by 2 chief justices to ensure, to talk about statewide strategies about how we keep our kids in school and out of the justice system. As part of that, it is better understanding the roles of law enforcement and SROs, if we have one, or our community officers, and how do we actually ensure that our schools are safe, but also that our community is safe, right? So how do we hold that space and that conversation?
So just a follow-up question to that then, are you committed to, assuming you're reelected, or if you're reelected, are you committed to seeing a SRO on Washington Unified campuses, or are you proposing alternative strategies?
So to be extremely transparent, my conversations on the dais was about process, that we actually are facing, quite frankly, a multi-million-dollar budget deficit in a couple of years. And we need to be extremely thoughtful about how we approach anything, quite frankly, whether it be an SRO or certain programs and supportive programs across the districts. So being consistent with what I said, it's about the process of engaging our partners, right, our labor partners, our parents, making sure that we're making thoughtful decisions. I've had the privilege and honor of reforming our school finance system, where parents and students need to be part of that conversation in terms of strategic budget planning. Right, so being consistent with what I said on the dais, it's about making sure we're transparent with how we are budgeting, and if that is what the school community wants through surveys with students and parents district-wide, then that's something I would support.
And so my understanding of the current situation is that the funding set aside for the SRO, a proposed SRO, would be an officer that floats to campuses potentially?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's why the conversation is important.
Okay.
Right, it's a $0.4 million investment when we're facing a multi-million-dollar deficit.
Right.
So the question is, my wondering is, what are we trying to get? What services, what security, what psychological safety that we are seeking? Is that a conversation that we can have with, WESAC PD about creating those environments with one officer? Is that realistic? What are we looking to do? So how do we have a strategic conversation and plan about what that relationship with law enforcement looks like?
And that's going to be my follow-up question. So assuming we can't fund to have a school resource officer at every campus, what other ideas do you have to address parents' concerns about keeping their kids safe at elementary schools, all campuses across Washington Unified?
Unfortunately, this is something that all districts are facing district-wide. There's a concern about safety post-pandemic, right? Certain behaviors and whatnot, and a rise in expulsions post-pandemic. But however, I do feel that that our staff have been great in creating those regular check-ins with law enforcement, checking in with the chief of police and WESAC PD about strategies to have better response times, right? My real concern is, and we know this, is that we don't have enough officers on the streets, patrolling our neighborhoods, right? So to your point, like how do we hire an officer, assuming that there's lots of different reasons that we might not be able to secure an officer in short order, quite frankly. How do we actually create MOUs and agreements with WESAC PD about the things we do want, right? If we want better response times, what does that mean? If we want to create more opportunities for law enforcement to engage with our students, what opportunities could that look like? One idea I had, if we had the money, is, and I put it out there, would be interesting to me, is that before the pandemic, I had proposed the idea of a justice academy, right? So where you have a police academy or other, law enforcement academy on campuses, so that, again, kids who actually want to learn and be part of law enforcement are part of that curriculum. And you have officers on campuses building relationships every single day with those students, right? And we're also meeting the educational needs of our community.
Thank you. Somewhat related question. This was an online question from earlier. How would you balance the needs of school safety with other priorities for emotional support, mental health, after-school tutoring, and other quote-unquote whole child needs? As a trained school-based social worker, whole child needs have been core and front and center to everything I've done in education. Being considered a state and national expert in foster care. That is something that is deeply, deeply personal for me. I've been in those group homes. I've been in places where we've had to remove children and still support their educational needs throughout. And so for me, we know, and because I'm considered a state and national expert in these things, I've been able to bring in actually additional resources that don't put strains on our general fund budget. Right, so I will continue to do that no matter where I am and what I do, because I believe in creating those safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments for Washington Unified School District and for all our students. Because it's not just about the money we get from the states, it's how do we advocate, build bridges, create partnerships with philanthropy or other grant-making bodies so that we can continue to shore up those services. And I've done that. All right, changing topics slightly. There is an ongoing concern about the safety and health of the district office building. What would be your immediate steps to ensure a safe working environment for all employees?
It's been a conversation we've had for a couple of years, and I've been on the dais really appalled at what the conditions in which our district office employees have worked in, quite frankly. We have pushed forward, and hopefully there will be a plan at the next board meeting about moving our employees out of such, really, in some cases, unhealthy spaces.
All right. Question coming in from the audience online. West Sacramento has a recent influx of Ukrainian and Russian refugees. How is the district providing support for things like Russian, Ukrainian books in the library and classrooms?
Really, really great question. As you know, or you may or may not know, we established a new cover program at Riverbank Elementary where to support the needs of our refugee populations. I recently was able to partner with, work with the Masons Foundation and the district to actually begin to bring books and literature for specific languages. At that time, that's Farsi, but I'm looking forward to actually having more conversations, as I said before, with outside partners with the ability to see whether or not we can bring in more books in other languages that meet the needs of our refugee populations, which again is a deeply personal issue to me because I remember going to school and not understanding what was happening or didn't have familiar words that I was able to read.
Okay. Thank you. Next question, sort of related. One of Washington Unified School District's equity principles is ensuring that all students are provided access and opportunity to resources and relevant education and life experiences for individual success. What is your plan to address existing disparities in resource allocation and educational opportunities in the school district?
Well, first we have to follow the data. When I was on the 2x2, I would ask, like, who was getting our internship? How did we advertise? Right? When we think about educational access, it's not just about access. It's about actually ensuring that young people who are furthest from opportunity are getting priority in those positions. Right? Ensuring that our kids who may not be enrolled in A through G classes or AP classes, we need to begin to unpack and really look at the disparity. Ever since I've been on the board, I'm kind of a data geek. I've been the one who people have said, oh, Jackie, the staff's a little bit afraid to have you, ask questions because I will ask. I will ask every single time, have we disaggregated the data? Right? Who's not meeting our graduation requirements? Who's actually being pushed out more? Who is actually enrolled in XYZ programs? So for me, you have to begin with the data and then we don't have, as I said, we don't have all the resources in the world, but we need to make those strategic investments so that we ensure that those furthest from opportunity get the opportunity to succeed in life by making those budget investments.
All right. Again, sort of following down this path, how do you propose to close the achievement gap for many students in Washington Unified School District?
That's a big question, right? I'm going to go back to the data, right? Making sure, like in my opening speech, it's about creating and supporting educational excellence for all, right? That doesn't mean everybody gets the same resources. Right? It means that we actually have a social and moral responsibility to look at those student populations, students who have disabilities, students who are in foster care, right? Who may not have the resources that my children have, right? To focus. They may not have the computers at home. They may not have X, Y. I personally know that. Right, so because I've been such a champion for students in foster care, and I think about that all the time. I think about our students who are experiencing homelessness, going to motels, or having to move from car to car. How do they learn? Right, and when we lift up those data, we see how well we're doing by our students. And for me, I've always advocated for additional resources for those populations.
On that topic, so recently community schools got introduced into Washington Unified School District. Do you believe that program is going far enough, or do you believe additional programs need to be implemented, and what would those be?
Well, I personally actually was able to bring the community schools dollars to our school district, so I'm really proud of that work. I think that we need to work the plan. Right? Again, we've engaged in community members, partners that have been, and that plan has been aligned with our strat plan. And again, did I mention we have a multi-million-dollar deficit in a couple of years? So right now we do have those dollars. However, I want us to think strategically about these one-time dollars that will sunset. But how do we build the infrastructure to actually ensure that those services keep on going? I think about federal match dollars and state match dollars to create and hold the infrastructure to continue those support services over time.
On that topic, you've mentioned budgeting issues and deficits coming up. Do you have any other ideas that you haven't already mentioned to assist with the deficit that is looming?
I mean, the deficit is, the deficit is looming, and the truth is, and that's looming for all districts across the state and the nation, right? We see the forecasting at the state. We know that we're going to have to, tighten our belts a little bit. We've gone through this before, right? In my time, we've actually had to make cuts and made tough decisions, but those decisions were away from the classrooms. Those decisions were in support of ensuring that all of our students had the resources and the teachers had the resources and our staff had the resources to meet the educational needs of our kids.
Okay. In terms of cuts, just because we have a little extra time, what would you prioritize in not cutting from the budget?
I think for the most part, anything that actually is in service to kids from the classroom, in the classroom. Like our philosophy has always been cut away from the classroom. What are the things that may not be effective? We have to look at those programs that we've invested in over time, and maybe we need to stop doing things that are not as effective for student achievement to meet those equity and achievement gaps, right? In addition to that, as I said, part of the state finance reform requires us to meet with our community stakeholders, our parents, our students, right, our labor partners about what the priorities are. And that, that is not for us alone. That is actually a community town halls and conversations about what they want to prioritize at their schools.
Got it.
With full transparency about what we, the bottom line, what do we need to do? And we can do that together.
All right. Thank you. All right, that concludes all of our questions for this evening. We got through a lot more than we did with our other area candidates. We will end with your closing statement. You have 2 minutes to make your closing comments.
Great, thank you so much. Over the past years, we've made significant strides for our students, for our educators, and for West Sacramentans. For these 8 years, you've trusted me to solve complicated problems of our district. And for 3 times, my board colleagues have voted me as president. You've also trusted me to support our children above all else. I'm known as somebody who listens, learns, does their research, and makes thoughtful decisions. I'm proud to have spearheaded and accomplished so many things that help our kids and community. Specifically, I've been able to secure over $10 million for direct student mental health and support services on campuses throughout our district, creating the comprehensive learning environments that support our student health and wellness needs as outlined in our strategic plan. As president, we adopted a facilities master plan with community engagement, helping to create a vision for our schools over the next several years. In doing so, we were also able to secure over $150 million to renovate and modernize our neighborhood schools, honoring our rich history, and creating innovative spaces for our students to learn and thrive. We've made strategic investments in preschool and college and career programs, creating opportunities for high-quality early learning and increasing our career pathways. This, along with the city's partnership around the Home Run program, has supported a systemic infrastructure for long-term student success. I'm grateful to be able to use my 3 decades of experience as a teacher, social worker, district administrator, college professor, and state and national thought leader in early childhood education to create the safe, stable, nurturing environments where all kids can achieve their dreams. And I would be honored to continue our work together.
Thank you. We've come to the end of the Washington Unified Trustee Candidates Forum. Join us tomorrow evening for the candidates from City of West Sacramento City Council District 1, District 2, and the mayoral elections. Have a good night.